Harvey sat in his deep armchair with a beer in hand, watching a baseball game on the big screen TV. Betsy went upstairs after dinner. He had no idea what she was doing. He didn't care. As far as he knew, it was just another night at home. However, shortly before 7:00, the doorbell rang. Before Harvey could get up, Betsy called from upstairs. "Harvey, could you open the door, please?" Of course. I was planning to do that anyway. He approached the door and opened it to see a well-dressed man he didn't know. "Yes, can I help you? I hope you're not selling anything." "No, I'm here to pick up Betsy." "Why?" "We have a date." Harvey's eyes popped out of their sockets. "You have a date with my wife, Betsy?" "Yes." Harvey stood there for a moment, trying to figure out what to do. "I'll call her." He went to the bottom of the stairs and shouted, "Betsy, your date is here." He expected her to ask, "What date?" or "It's not really a date." Instead, she said, "Tell him I'll be right there." Harvey just stood there, wondering what was happening. When she entered the living room, she was dressed in a short evening dress, displaying a deep neckline, and had a lot of makeup on her face. Harvey asked, "Betsy, tell me what's going on." "I'm going on a date." "Married women don't go on dates with anyone other than their husbands." "I am." "I'm tired of spending evenings watching you drink beer and watch curling or some other exciting sport. When was the last time we did something exciting? If you can't pay me any attention or give me a chance to have some fun, I'll find someone who can." She pointed her index finger at his chest for emphasis. "And now, don't wait up. If I'm lucky, I may not be back until morning." She left, slamming the door behind her. Betsy got into the waiting car and told the driver to go. Once they were away from the house, he stopped, and they both started laughing. Betsy said, I wish I had a picture of his expression. It was priceless. If that doesn't make him turn from a couch potato into a regular person, I don't know what will." "Don't you think this might anger him and make things worse?" "I doubt it. He'll probably just sit there and wonder what happened. I'll be back before he gets too upset. I don't think he would consider divorce so quickly, but I'm willing to take the risk. Maybe I shouldn't have added the part about not being home until tomorrow. Well, it's too late now. Considering how our marriage is going, I prefer a divorce to continuing in the same vein. I love him to death, but I just wish he cared more about me and us. Well, drive around the block. We'll come back, and I'll see how he's doing." Having toured the surroundings, Betsy and her Cavalier pulled into the driveway and parked. Harvey didn't rush outside as Betsy had hoped. She entered and didn't see him in the living room, although the TV was on. She quickly surveyed the downstairs and went upstairs. He wasn't there. Then she called his mobile phone. She heard the ringtone. Betsy rushed over and saw his cell phone on the nightstand. His wedding ring lay next to it. She quickly scanned the room. Oh, no. Betsy ran downstairs to tell her friend what had happened and check if Harvey's car was in the garage. She disappeared. The man asked, "Where do you think he is?" "He probably went to a bar to drown his sorrows. Worst case, he might even spend the night in a motel. I can imagine him sulking like a little kid. He'll pay for this when he comes back and forgets my little prank. On the other hand, his departure might ultimately be for the best. If he feels bad for pushing me to the point of motivating him, I'm okay with letting him feel bad a little longer." Harvey didn't return or call that night or the next morning. Later, the next day, when Betsy couldn't take it anymore, she called Harvey's personal secretary long before he was supposed to return from lunch. "Barbara, please connect me to my husband." "It won't work." "Betsy, what's going on?" "Harvey comes in this morning, stumbling, and tells me to shut up and listen. He tells me he's taking the day off because he has a lot of personal matters to take care of. Then he asks me who handles our company's health insurance. I gave him the name of the girl from the EA department who handles health insurance. That satisfied him. He didn't want to talk to me anymore. He left without a word of thanks or anything else. This is not like Harvey at all. Do you know what happened to him? Did a close relative die or something? What happened to him? I pulled a trick that backfired. Once I talk to him and kiss him, I hope he'll come back to normal life. And now, could you connect me to that girl from her? Of course. There. Department Rhonda. I would like to speak to Sylvia, please. She's currently in training with a new employee. Can someone else help you? Can someone tell me what Harvey Strickland did in your hair department today? I can look at his file, but I need his permission to provide you with any information. I'm his wife. Can you tell me something? I can check your coverage under his policy. Wait, let me see. It's a coincidence. We were supposed to contact you today anyway. You should receive an official notice by mail that your coverage under your husband's health insurance no longer applies to you. You can keep the coverage for 180 days before it expires if you pay the debt. That's the only thing he changed. Stunned, Betsy just sobbed, "Thank you," and hung up. Why did Harvey remove me from his health insurance? Then it hit her. She immediately went to her computer to check their online bank statements. Half the money was withdrawn from both their checking and savings accounts. Oh no, he's in the process of divorcing me. Betsy couldn't decide what to do next. She didn't ponder for long before her phone rang. It was their life insurance agent and family friend, Larry. It's Betsy. Hi, Larry. Betsy, can you tell me what's going on? Harvey came here, canceled automatic payments for your life insurance, and changed the beneficiary to the girls. No money is supposed to go to you. Also, the automatic withdrawal for life insurance payment was transferred to a new account. He said he's sure he wants everything, just like that. I'll have to send you an official notice of the change in the beneficiary and the cessation of payment for your life insurance. I'm sorry. I assume you guys are getting divorced. Betsy, I'm sorry about this. Please come to me as soon as possible so your life insurance doesn't expire. Am I right that you two are divorcing? Yes. Thank you. I can't tell you anything more right now. But you really didn't tell me anything. Yes. She hung up. 2 minutes later, their lawyer, neighbor, and friend Doe called. Betsy answered. Hello. Betsy, it's Doe. Can you tell me what's going on? Harvey came here and changed his will to leave everything to the kids and nothing to you. He also removed you from the list of people who could be his medical proxy. He refused to tell me why and said he didn't care if I told you or not. Then he asked me for a referral to a family lawyer. I assume you two have serious problems and you're considering a divorce. Listen, I can always change everything if you guys get back together. I'm really sorry. This is happening. Marilyn and I have a high opinion of both of you. I have to run now, but I wish you both the best. Betsy weakly replied, Okay. The next call was from their twin daughters who were studying together in college. Mom, what's happening? Dad called us all disloyal to you. He said you were dating and sleeping with other men. Then he told us he's not going to be in touch for a while to give you the freedom to date other people before the divorce. He said he took care of our future college expenses. We tried asking questions, but he ignored us. He told us to remember that he loves us and hung up. Mom, we're afraid Dad might harm himself. Can you tell us what happened? What led him into such depression? I'm the one who caused him to fall into depression, and I'm trying to find him to apologize. The problem is I can't reach him to talk to him. Maybe I can try. Hi, I'm getting another call. Maybe it's him. Call us back. Hello, Harvey. No, it's your mother-in-law, Doris. What's going on? My son called me, crying like a child. He said something about you sleeping with a group of men in some nightclub. He seemed drunk, so I wasn't sure how true his story was. All I know is he was very depressed. Anyway, he said he's going to solve the problem by giving you freedom. Worst of all, he thanked me and his father for raising him right. Then he apologized for betraying his upbringing and letting us down. He said goodbye. I didn't like his tone. He hung up before we could ask any more questions. He didn't answer calls when we called him back. Betsy, I'm afraid he might do something foolish. What happened between you two? I tried to get Harvey out of his empty nest rut and enjoy life with his wife. I decided to do something crazy to lift him out of depression. I pretended to go on a date with another man. I wasn't home for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. When I came back, he was already gone. Today, I found out that he did some things that look like he's planning to divorce me. I'm trying to find him to stop this madness, but I can't reach him to talk to him. So, it's your fault that my son is planning to end his life. Let me say something. If he dies, I will hold you personally responsible. Click. Betsy couldn't think clearly. She called all local hotels and motels. Harvey wasn't a guest at any of them. Betsy called the police and tried to file a missing person report, telling them she was afraid he might be planning to harm himself. This information had no significance. She would have to wait another day before reporting it. Betsy took a sleeping pill to go to sleep, even though the thought of suicide if Harvey dies came to her mind. Fortunately, she knew the safe code where Harvey kept his automatic pistol and bullets. She woke up groggy and turned on the TV news. On the local channel, a live interview from the accident scene was being broadcast. And it seems that last night, Bender's Curve claimed another victim or victims. We're here with Sergeant Cantor. State Police. Sergeant Cantor, can you tell us exactly what happened? It looks like the car went off the cliff. You can see it bypass the sturdiest part of the reinforced railing. Either the driver had bad luck or he knew what he was doing. What is known at this moment? Considering the lack of skid marks, it seems the driver may have lost consciousness, been in a state of alcohol or drug intoxication, or may have intentionally ended his life. How did you even know it was an accident? The driver, coming from the opposite direction, called the police. He's here now. The camera switched to a young man. The reporter approached him. Young man, what's your name? Scene Carpenter. Am I on TV? I just want to say hi to my mom. Hi, Mom. He grinned from ear to ear. Scene. Tell us what you saw. Well, I was driving home when I saw this big truck heading towards me. It swayed a bit, then crossed into my lane. I hit the brakes and it suddenly veered sharply to the right, crashed into the railing, and went over the cliff. Can you describe the truck? Of course. It was a red Ford F-150, probably from 19 years ago. It had a sticker on the rear window with an image of a hillbilly from western Kentucky. Did you see who was behind the wheel? No. The truck's headlights were on, and I only glimpsed the person behind the wheel. He looked like a man. I don't think there were any passengers. That's all I know. Thank you. Sergeant Cantor, did you call for help to locate the truck that crashed into the railing? Well, we're not sure what caused the breach in the railing. We assume it was a truck, as Mr. Carpenter reported. It's impossible to see from here what it is. We have a search and recovery team in the mountains, but right now they are conducting search and rescue operations in another part of the state. I don't know when they can descend there and check. But what if someone down there is still alive and needs medical assistance? Then you will witness a real miracle. No normal person could survive such a fall onto those rocks. I wouldn't put the lives of those who are not qualified to attempt an expedition just to find out. We just have to wait for the mountain rescue team. Betsy didn't need to wait to speculate on what had happened and who was dead. She began crying as soon as they said Red Ford, F-150 with a sticker. She ignored the ringing phone. It was already the third hour of her sobbing in solitude before the twins appeared. When she didn't answer their call, they grew concerned and hurried home to be with her. Their grandmother called and told them the news on TV about the Redfern, 150. Despite the absence of a body, they were almost certain that their father had crashed. The older of the twins answered the phone call from their mother and handed her the phone. The caller ID showed the name of a law firm. "Hello, this is Betsy Strickland." She could barely pronounce the surname due to suffocation. "Mrs. Strickland, my name is Chris Andrews. I am a lawyer at the same firm where your acquaintance Doe works. Your husband hired me to represent his interests in the divorce proceedings. Perhaps I shouldn't have called you, but Doe persuaded me to do so. The Riverdale County Police contacted me. They were called to the scene of a robbery. The suspect suffered a head injury. His wallet and keys were stolen. They took him to the emergency room, and shortly after that, he was sent into surgery. An unknown person was put into a coma to reduce pressure on his brain. The only thing he had on him was the key to a motel room. They traced it back to Harvey Strickland. Among the papers in his hotel room is a copy of the divorce agreement that made me responsible for his divorce process. That's why they called me. Your husband instructed me to handle the divorce because he didn't want you to deal with him in any way. I must inform you that you are not allowed to visit him in the hospital. I base this decision on very clear verbal instructions given to me by Mr. Strickland regarding his relationship with you. However, your children can visit him, but I have a say in visitor access." "What? He's my husband. Of course I can see him." I'm very sorry, but the directive he signed gives me and only me the right to make decisions regarding the divorce, as well as his medical care. I must follow his latest verbal instructions. If you want to hire a lawyer to challenge this, act now." "Isn't the divorce process canceled because of his condition?" No, ma'am. I was given clear instructions to pursue the divorce regardless, although I don't think he anticipated being robbed. Does this mean that all the financial, insurance, and beneficiary actions he took will not be canceled? Yes, ma'am. All of them were completed by him, and at the moment, I see no evidence that he wants them to be canceled. Of course, there is no such evidence. He's in a coma. It's just absurd. I deceived my husband, making him believe that I was going on a date with another man. When I returned to tell him it was a joke, he was already gone. He got rid of his mobile phone so I couldn't tell him it was a joke. There are no grounds for divorce and no reason for the actions he took regarding the joke. I don't want to be disrespectful, but this is what you're saying now. I must follow what Mr. Strickland instructed me to do and confirmed in writing. I have no other choice. I'm sorry to tell you this, but tomorrow you will be served at work according to Mr. Strickland's request. Once you get a lawyer, have them contact me about the next steps. I don't care. He's my husband, and I'm going to see him if I want to. I forgot to tell you. In the envelope you will receive, there is a restraining order prohibiting you from being within 300 meters of him. The petition he proposed is very generous. He stated that he wants you to have a chance with the man you really want now. Betsy told the children about what the lawyer had said. It was impossible to believe what had happened. Betsy said she would go to the hospital no matter what they said. The girls agreed to accompany her. It didn't take long. There was no copy of the restraining order in the hospital, but no visitors were allowed due to restrictions. They were told that once he was transferred to the intensive care unit, they could visit him, but only one person for 10 minutes every 2 hours. Betsy and the daughters returned home unsatisfied. By the time Harvey was placed in the intensive care unit, the restraining order had already been issued. One daughter could visit him, but what good would it do? He was unconscious, and if he understood anything they said, they couldn't tell. A few days later, the mountain search and rescue team found the truck. It was assumed that the deceased man behind the wheel was the robber. Harvey's wallet was there, but a few hundred of the $6,000 were missing. Several bottles of rare Kentucky bourbon were found, with one more than half empty. Time passed. Betsy found herself in a difficult financial situation. Harvey forgot to transfer the deposit from his check to the couple's joint account, which paid the mortgage and other bills. Betsy did hire a lawyer who filed a court request to grant her access to half of the remaining money. Finally, it was time to bring Harvey out of the coma and back to consciousness. When he woke up, he said he didn't know who he was. The diagnosis was temporary amnesia. Linda, one of the twins, brought photos and invoked memories to refresh his memory. All efforts were in vain. He didn't remember the lawyer either, who had his power of attorney. In his condition, he was deemed insufficiently informed to cancel the restraining order. When Harvey came out of the coma, they conducted a memory test to see if he had amnesia. Harvey quickly understood what they were doing and immediately decided to pretend. They told him his daughters wanted to see him. Carol, the other twin, was the first to see him. "Dad, I'm one of your daughters. Carol. You were attacked and you fell into a coma." We? Yes, Linda and Mom, your wife. I have a wife. Yes. Why isn't she here? She's not allowed to come. There was a misunderstanding between you two, and there's a court order prohibiting her visits. My God, does she want to harm me? No, Dad. She doesn't pose a threat to you. You got really angry with her. Why? She pretended to go on a date with another man. Before she came back to tell you it was a joke, you had left and started the divorce process. Now that you've woken up, you can cancel all of this. How do I know she didn't go on a date? She says she didn't. Didn't you just say she told you she was going on a date? Yes, but that was a lie. So, she lied about going on a date, but then it turns out she tells the truth that she didn't go on a date. Maybe I don't remember you and her, but I'm not a fool. I have to assume I took actions to protect myself. I'm sorry, miss, but your 10 minutes are up. You have to leave right now. 2 hours later, his second daughter arrived. I talked to you earlier, didn't I? No, that was my twin sister, Carol. I'm Linda. Don't you recognize me? I'm sorry, but not yet. You and your sister are very attractive young women. Were we on good terms? I understand I was separated from your mother. We were on good terms. Mom played a prank on you, and before she could tell you it was a joke, you got a head injury. You started the divorce process even before learning about it. You need to stop this, Dad. I don't know what to do. I don't know if you're my daughter or not. I don't know who my wife is. If I have one at all, I don't think I should do anything until my memory returns. If it does, do I have a lawyer? You have two. One for regular matters and one divorce attorney. You gave him permission for the divorce. Maybe if I talk to him, it will help me refresh my memory. Can you contact him or her and ask them to come and visit me? Of course. Anything that can bring back your memory. Dad, can you allow Mom to visit you? It's killing her that she can't see you and apologize. I don't think I would feel safe around her. Maybe later. Mr. Strickland, I'm Chris Andrews, your family law attorney. Do you remember me? Everything we talk about is confidential. Absolutely. Good. I don't have any amnesia. I'm trying to figure out what to do about the divorce. What I remember is telling you to give her more so she could live on without me. That's correct. She was served and got a lawyer. Do you want to annul the agreement and stop the divorce? No, and no. I can hire someone on your behalf if you allow me to. Do it. Harvey continued to pretend he had amnesia and kept talking to his daughters, ignoring their pleas to see their mother and stop the divorce. He awaited the report from his lawyer. The report came in a few days. According to private investigators, there is not enough evidence to prove whether she went on a date or not. The man she was with swears nothing happened, but he's married and might be afraid to tell the truth. It's up to you to decide whether to believe her. I was afraid of this. Thanks for the information. I think it's time for me to regain my memory. I want you to proceed with the divorce process. Carol was the only one who heard him say her name from memory. Shortly after, he told her that memories had come flooding back, including the night of Betsy's betrayal or deception, depending on what to believe. He agreed to meet Betsy. After hugs and tears, Betsy began. Harvey, it was a trick, a nasty trick on you to make you change. Doe and I drove around the block, but by the time we got back, you were gone. How do I know that's true? I can ask Doe to come and tell you. He was the one who helped me pull off this trick. So I should take the word of the man you were with to convince me you didn't betray me. Sorry, but no. I tried to call you, but you left your phone at home. I waited for you all night, but you never came back. Was anyone there while you were waiting? Doe stayed there for a couple of hours and then went home. I somehow feel he'll vouch for you. I waited for your call until the next day when I called your office. That's when I learned you applied the scorched earth policy to my fake affair. You looked like you couldn't wait to get rid of me. And why not? You told me to my face that you were going to deceive me. You said you wanted another man who was standing in my house. I was devastated, but because I loved you. I wanted to give you what you wanted as soon as possible. Also, I no longer wanted to be married to you because you no longer upheld our marriage vows. Why prolong the agony? Let's move on and get divorced. I don't want a divorce. I didn't plan to truly betray you, and I never did. I wanted to make you fight for me and bring some life back into our marriage. Obviously, I chose the wrong way to do it. Forgive me. Please, Harvey, stop the divorce and let's get back to our life. Even if what you said is true, and I still don't believe it, you played a cruel, nasty joke on me. I don't know if I want to stay married to a woman who does such things. At the moment, I'm continuing the divorce process and will move to my own apartment when I leave the hospital. Harvey, it's such a waste of money. You have a home and a bed. I'll move to another room in the house for a while, if that's what it takes to get you back. Visiting hours are over, and I want to see my daughters. Betsy was sent out of the room. The twins tried to support their mother's case. None of them could explain how much time their mother spent with Doe that night. So it was irrelevant to Harvey. When it was time for him to check out, he indeed moved to an apartment near his workplace. The divorce continued until Betsy's lawyer insisted on mandatory counseling for them. 12 sessions. Harvey didn't resist. Betsy went first. I love my husband very much. We had a wonderful marriage, and we raised 2 wonderful girls together. I think empty nest syndrome hit him harder than me. I wanted to fill that gap by spending more time with him doing various activities, not just physically being together in the same house. Harvey seemed to distance himself from our marriage. I decided to shake him up to get more attention from him. I convinced a male friend from work to join me in what I called shock therapy. One evening, I pretended to go on a date with him. We circled the block so I could return and tell Harvey it was a joke, intended to provoke him to get angry about our marriage again. When we came back after 10 minutes, he was already gone, and I had no chance to talk to him. I waited until the next day when I called his office and learned he had taken steps to divorce me. Since then, he's been pursuing a divorce. I apologize for my misguided actions and beg him for a second chance. Harvey, what's your brief summary of what happened? She's accurate about what she said, but she missed a few details. When her date appeared, she not only told me she was dating him, despite my objections, she said she hoped to spend the night making love to him. At that moment, I realized my marriage was over. I assumed it was my fault our marriage fell apart, so I wanted to leave as soon as possible. I left my home and her so she could have the man she wanted, and I could start over too. I took steps to separate us quickly. I gave power of attorney to the lawyer because I no longer wanted even to think about Betsy, let alone talk to her. I would give her a generous divorce and continue with my life. I didn't know I was going to be robbed, and I certainly didn't expect to be in a coma. When I woke up, I didn't remember who I was. Sometimes I regret not staying in a coma and having memories of that night restored. Betsy says she really didn't go on a date, but she provides no evidence. To me, it's just as likely that she actually went on a date and slept with this guy, Doe. I think she changed her mind only when she realized what it would mean for her socially and financially. Now I'm asked to believe it was just a joke, and I should return to live with a woman who was willing to break my heart. Even if she's telling the truth. She's a wife who has shown she's willing to hurt me when she sees fit. Every evening coming home, should I worry about what awaits me? A loving wife or a traitor going on a date? It would be cleaner if we got divorced. She and Doe can have a life together, and I can try to move on. It seems we have a lot to talk about. Everything came to a standstill until Betsy brought Doe to a session. Harvey, I want to apologize for my involvement in the prank. Betsy assured me everything would be okay. I was very skeptical when she got into my car. I swear, we circled the block before returning home. She was shocked to find out you had left. We learned that you left your phone when we found it in your room. I stayed with her, waiting for you to come back. Most of the time, she complained about what we did and how much you meant to her. After a while, I left. I apologize again. Do you believe me now, Harvey? His words certainly sound sincere, but maybe he's just a good actor. Harvey, it seems there's nothing I can do to prove to you that it was just a joke. Despite the precedent, I'll never joke about you again. Can't you just trust me? Let's see. You lied to me that night when you said you were going to spend the night with Doe. Then you claim you did nothing. You repeat that you're not lying now. Next, you want me to believe you won't do anything like this again in the future. How do I know where the lie ends and the truth begins? It all comes down to trust, Harvey. If we want to be together again, you'll have to trust me. If you can't do that, I'll agree to divorce you. The counselor spoke. I have a proposal. How about a postnuptial agreement, stating that if Betsy does this again, you get all the property in the divorce? Would you be willing to sign that, Betsy? Yes. Harvey, I think I could give it a try. Betsy approached and hugged him. Harvey slowly reintegrated into his marriage with Betsy. It took quite some time before he and Betsy ended up in the same bed. Their interaction was very fragile. Over time, they developed a relationship that included more walks, joint home projects, visiting their daughters, and traveling. Their love life became more active than before the incident. Betsy started feeling comfortable at home. One day, Harvey called and told Betsy not to cook dinner. It seemed they were going somewhere. He had to hang up quickly, so Betsy didn't know the occasion. She really remembered the reorganization happening at his workplace due to the merger. Betsy assumed he got good news about his position after the reorganization. Harvey entered the house and immediately went upstairs. Changing for tonight, that was his comment on the way. Soon after, the doorbell rang. Betsy opened it. In front of her stood a woman who looked about 10 years younger than them. She was very attractive and professionally dressed. "Yes, can I help you?" "I'm here because of Harvey. We're going to the same place tonight." Betsy recalled the incident she had tried to forget. She thought he was finally trying to get revenge. An idea of what to do emerged. "You have a beautiful home, Mrs. Strickland." "Thank you. Excuse me for a moment. I need to tell Harvey that you're here." She shouted, "Harvey, your companion is here." His response was unclear. She assumed he said he would come down soon. Betsy was about to ask her a question when she heard Harvey coming down the stairs. She switched to active actions. Betsy clasped the woman's throat with her hands and began to choke her slightly. The woman, whom Betsy took as part of a prank, began to resist. Harvey shouted, "Betsy, stop! What's happening?" Betsy started laughing. "This time, I caught you trying to make fun of me." "What joke?" "This is my new supervisor as part of the merger, Amanda Briggs. Amanda, I'm so sorry. I don't know what got into her." Amanda frowned, looking at him. "I like to think my subordinates are normal people both during and outside of work. You can say goodbye to your new position if that's what you consider normal. I'll be in the car, waiting for you to take me back to the hotel." "Amanda, please, give me a chance to explain before doing anything hasty." She stormed out the door. Betsy cried, sitting on the couch. "Thank you so much, Betsy. Just when I thought our marriage was back on track, you ruin our marriage and my job." "There you have it. I'm leaving to try to save my job. I won't come back and save our marriage." He headed to the car. Betsy ran upstairs and, crying, fell on the bed. What have I done? About 15 minutes later, Harvey and Amanda returned to the house. He called for Betsy to come downstairs. They explained to her that she had been pranked. Betsy clung to Harvey and cried, saying she was very sorry. Later, they went out to have dinner and a drink. Amanda shared how she feared she would be hurt, but Harvey's assistance with the prank was worth it. Betsy finally reached the point where she could share laughter with everyone else. When Betsy and Harvey returned home, she went to tidy up the kitchen before going to bed. Harvey went upstairs. He immediately noticed that his automatic pistol, which he kept locked away, was on Betsy's nightstand. Upon inspecting the gun, he found a bullet in the chamber, and the safety was off. His heart sank into his stomach.